welcome to the Capital Wasteland. My name is B-Town and I make videos about games I love. And I am a gigantic fan of Fallout 3. I can't wait for this masterpiece to get a remaster. Please, Todd, please. Today we are going to be ranking every unique weapon in Fallout 3 from worst to best. For a weapon to make this list, it must have a unique name and a fixed spawn. Rare weapons like the craftable rocket launcher don't make the list. This is strictly vanilla Fallout 3 and officially released DLC. There are a ton of unique weapons in the Capital Wasteland, so to make this list a little more organized, I'm breaking the video into tiers. And first up, we have the bottom tier, Capital Punishment. I'd rather stab enemies with an iguana on a stick. First up, the worst unique in Fallout 3 is the toy knife. This is clearly a joke weapon, but the joke's on you. You find the toy knife in the swamps of Point Lookout next to a hockey mask, which is peak fashion, I'm just saying. It has the lowest damage and durability of any weapon in the game, and it also can't be repaired outside of using a merchant. Despite being unique and apparently a toy, the model is the exact same as the regular knife. But that's not strictly a toy knife problem. Lots of unique weapons in Fallout 3 don't have a unique skin or model. Despite it being the worst, I still have fond memories of the first time I found this thing. I picked it up and I was like, oh, unique, it's got a name, oh my god. It was like literally the first time I was playing Point Lookout. And then you swing it a few times and you realize that life is cruel. Trench knife. Added in the Operation Anchorage DLC, it's just a reskin of the regular knife. Identical stats, no functional difference whatsoever. The only thing that makes this different is that they've added a cosmetic spiked handguard. It looks cool, lots of style points, but it's a trash tier unique. Capturing footage with this weapon was really fun though. There's always drama in Fallout 3. For some reason, everywhere you go in the open world, there's tons of infighting, like raiders battling scorpions and deathclaws everywhere. This is by far the most hostile Fallout game. Sometimes I just sit back and watch the NPCs go at it like it's a dollar store UFC fight. Zurong V418 Chinese pistol. This unique is actually worse than its base counterpart. It fires slower than usual, and in return you inflict a minuscule amount of fire damage to your target. And it's like barely burn damage. It's more like heartburn damage. Bad indigestion levels of discomfort. If it wasn't so bad, it would kind of be a meme. But in fairness, it's worth mentioning some of the very limited positives about this weapon. It uses 10mm ammo, which is super abundant. The resale value is around 300 caps, so it's not bad to pawn. And if you're using Bloody Mess, the enemies will explode into a fireball upon death. It's not like it does much damage, but hey, at least it's a unique effect. Repellent stick. Oof, lots of melee weapons down here at the bottom, huh? The repellent stick is a quest item you get early in most playthroughs of Fallout 3. You get it from Moira and Megaton during the Wasteland Survival Guide quest. You can keep it after you're done the quest, but I suggest tossing it in the nearest dumpster. When you hit a mole rat with it once, they start smoking, and if you land a second hit, their head will explode. And that smoke effect happens when you hit anything, actually. It's kind of cool. Weapons that have special effects against specific enemy types are always kind of hard to rank, but there really aren't that many mole rats in Fallout 3, and they are never, ever, ever a threat. It also does 0 weapon damage against robots. That's not an exaggeration. It does literally 0 damage. Hard pass, this thing is garbage. And it's the only unique weapon in Megaton, so we won't be needing them for the rest of the video. Highwayman's Friend. This is probably the most boring unique in the game. It's a tire iron that does a tiny little bit more damage, but also weighs 2 additional pounds. You snag it off a shelf in Dominic and Machete's house. You can steal it without losing any karma because they don't even care about this weapon. The Brake. This is a pool cue found at the center of Paradise Falls. You know, the slave camp where the gang is so stupid they can't even hold their guns right side up. It swings super fast but has really pathetic damage. There's so many better options when you're running a melee build. I consider this one a desperation weapon only. It's truly awful, but it can be really fun though if you're running a high crit build with tons of fast swings. You can just do so much better with so many different weapons. The Tenderizer. It's a sledgehammer. Big swing. As unremarkable as this weapon is, there is one interesting fact about it. The Tenderizer was meant to have an effect that removed 5 damage resistance from the target upon hit. Therefore, consecutive hits did more damage. That was cut from the final game, but it can be re-enabled using mods. Board of Education. In a game full of laser guns and fully automatic assault rifles, it's a choice to run a board with nails in it. If that is your style, I respect it, but I am personally going to pass on that opportunity, thank you very much. Beside the excellent name, the Board of Education is a solid upgrade to a normal board, so for whatever reason, if you're role-playing as a carpenter or something, this is probably the best board in the game. But I'm good on this one, I've learned my lesson, I don't need to use it anymore. The Board of Education is our final trash tier weapon, because this list is graduating to the next tier. Ranger. Super duper disappointment. The best part about these weapons, they technically work. Rapid Torch Flamer. The only difference between the Rapid Torch and a regular flamer is a very minor animation update. It lets you tap fire the Rapid Torch more effectively compared to the base version. It's technically better than a regular one, but, in practice, you rarely get the superior performance or, conserve any ammo. But I put it in this tier because if you're totally dedicated to getting more out of the Rapid Torch compared to the base, you can make that happen, I guess. Drone Cannon EXB. This one is just silly. You get it from Mothership Zeta, and I guess maybe it shouldn't be on the list because you can technically get 2 of them, but we'll let that slide for now. It functions like a grenade launcher, firing balls of energy in an arc. It's really not that good, but it is fun to use. Trying to nail long-range lobs is really satisfying. This one's strictly for the memes. It's really, really bad. It's also really awful in VATS as well. Not that effective at all, but it is kind of fun. Occam's Razor, the personal weapon of Commander Jabsco of the Talon Company. You can raid Fort Bannister to get this knife that does an entire 3 extra points of damage. 3 whole points. Wow. Mesmatron, another quest-specific weapon. You acquire Mesmatron during Strictly Business. Inside the quest, it's a hypnotic wave emitter that mesmerizes its targets, allowing you to enslave them and send them to Paradise Falls. Outside of the quest, hitting a target has 3 different potential effects. It can stun them, which is the most likely outcome. It can inflict frenzy, causing the target to attack anyone nearby, and there's a very small chance their head will explode. The premise of this weapon is very fun. It's just frustratingly inconsistent and totally impractical. Honestly, it's probably bottom tier, but I'm ranking it a little higher because it's just goofy. It adds a fun layer of chaos to every fight. Like, remember 40 at Paradise Falls, the guy who couldn't keep his gun straight? I hit a crit that knocked the AK out of his hand, and then Sammy picked it up and got some sweet, sweet revenge. But that's what the Mesmatron's all about, is inflicting weird, silly scenarios all around the wasteland. The Dismemberer. This is on some Dead by Daylight shit. As you would expect from the name, hits from this axe jib enemies. And you don't even have to use the Bloody Mess perk. It swings fast, does nice damage. The jibbing is satisfying. It's not that great of a weapon, but it is kind of a flavor win. Even when point lookout weapons kind of suck, they still hit. I love that DLC so much. It's easily my favorite. Colonel Autumn's 10mm pistol. This is a modest upgrade to the standard 10mm pistol with better damage and crit. It's really annoying to get though. Autumn uses this during the Waters of Life quest. If you don't get it off him during that specific quest, it becomes unattainable. And to do it, you have to use a camera glitch. It's a lot of work and it's just not worth it. If you're not a serious collector of unique weapons, I wouldn't even bother. It's really just something you stash anyway. The Shocker. Keep it classy, San Diego. We're not talking about that one. This is a very situational weapon. It's a power fist that does an additional 25 points of damage to robots. I really struggled to rank this one much higher because its effect is so limited, but it's a top-notch choice when a robot needs fisting. Plunkett's Valid Points. This one's pretty brutal. They are a pair of spiked brass knuckles. This unique is actually pretty easy to miss. First you have to obtain the Lawbringer perk, then you get a bounty from the regulators to track down a murderer in Arlington Cemetery. They do more base damage and they have double the crit chance, so they can be pretty solid for an unarmed build. Fertilizer Shovel. At first glance, it looks pretty innocent, but the fertilizer on the end of the shovel inflicts poison damage that stacks. It's a pretty competent and reliable melee weapon that can deal with larger targets if you're patient. And the bonk sound effect is hilarious.
Thanks for not attacking us. Most people don't tolerate ghouls.
Miss Launcher. You like crippling legs? Well, I have a weapon for you. I think everyone's kind of been fooled by this one at one point. The first time you fire this thing, it's always a shock. It's a missile launcher that acts like a grenade launcher, lobbing the missiles in an arc. It's horrifically bad in VATS, and good luck if an enemy gets in your face. I would never trust my life to this weapon, but it's still kind of fun though, I'm not gonna lie. I'm ranking it low for a couple reasons. One is it's just not that effective, and 2, it's like deceptive. I always forget this weapon exists, and when I pick it up for the first time, I think I have a rocket launcher in my hand, and then suddenly, boom, there's a missile at my feet. Fisto. This is a named power fist that does more damage than the standard version, but sacrifices durability. It's actually pretty savage. You find it in the power plant northwest of the minefield. It's full of ghouls in there, but well worth the fight. I would suggest going to grab this early when you're low level because the ghouls just get tougher and tougher the more you rank up. And when you first find it, it has really low condition, and maintaining it can be a pretty large resource suck, but it's really fun. Fisto's kind of good. Ritual Knife. Another solid point lookout weapon. It has a very high attack rate and the second lowest AP cost in the game. It's a monster in VATS and cheap to maintain. It's nothing fancy, but if you spec into it properly, you can probably hit endgame with this weapon. Fox's Super Sledge. Honestly, I'm not a super sledge guy. This one has better stats than the regular sledge, but I'm still not gonna pretend like I care. This weapon is only cool because it belonged to Fox, the best super mutant character in Fallout history. If we were just talking about gameplay, I would rank it super low, but come on, you gotta put some respect on his name. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this list is getting good. We're leveling up to the next tier of uniques, Mega Fun. This is the largest tier on this list today because most of the weapons in Fallout 3 are actually pretty good and really enjoyable to use, and the first weapon in this category is the Experimental Merv. It's a fat man that fires 8 mini nukes at once. One of the most dangerous weapons in the game. But when you need to totally obliterate something, there's no better option. Of course, carrying around this much firepower has a few small issues. The weapon and the ammo itself are incredibly heavy. You really have to commit to the boom. But the real issue with the Merv is that it doesn't just fire 8 nukes, it has to fire 8 nukes. Meaning if you have less than 8 in your inventory, this thing won't fire at all. It's a big issue, but it's definitely worth grabbing and putting in your stash for a rainy day. Stab Happy. Finally, a knife that is actually really good. It's easy to get from the Bethesda ruins, and if you have the right stats, Stab Happy can crit 100% of the time. If you're running a melee build, I would grab it early and just ride this thing all the way to endgame. Eugene. You get this one from the Riley Ranger's Quest. Premium Big Gun Destruction. It has more power and durability than other miniguns. Generally not a big guns player, but occasionally you just gotta roleplay as Jesse Ventura from Predator. Steel Knuckles. The first weapon from the pit has hit the list. This is a great value. It's only 30 steel ingots. It does increased damage and has insanely low AP cost. These are a great option to keep in your inventory just in case you run out of ammo at some point. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and if you completely run dry, then you can start punching people like a drunk uncle. Smuggler's End. This is found in Elder Lion's safe in the B-Ring of the Citadel. You have to progress the story a bit to get this into your inventory. And it's a laser pistol, so ammo is an issue in the early game. But it fires twice as fast and does a lot of damage. Smuggler's End is really good at dealing with small or medium enemies. It just claps them. But if the room has a lot of beefy tanks, you'll probably struggle. Overall, I like this one a lot, even though it doesn't perform super well at certain points in the game. Armor is just an issue. But it is a nice weapon to have when you're bombing around the open world exploring. Little enemies like rad roaches and raiders, you just delete them. Samurai's Sword. Maybe Mothership Zeta isn't that bad after all. The style points are off the chart, but stat-wise, the Samurai Sword is pretty great too. Better damage, fast attack speed. It doesn't have any flashy effects, it's just a sword that's really good at cutting down enemies. The charge attack is pretty awesome too. Man Opener. This is a freebie from the Pit DLC. Doesn't cost any ingots, you just have to find it on a bed. As the name implies, it's really good at cracking open armored enemies. My version's glitched out. It disappears in your hand, making it look like you're just doing rude gestures all the time. Like you're a cab driver in New York City, just like giving people the fucking chin flick. Butch's Toothpick. We all know this guy. Leader of the Tunnel Snakes, General Asshole Butch. If you somehow forgot to kill him during your initial escape from Vault 101, you can actually get a hold of his unique switchblade. All you have to do is complete the quest Trouble on the Home Front. Afterwards, you can catch him in Rivet City. Side note, I literally hate this location. I've played this game 100 times and I still get lost in here. I can't really support any major changes for the upcoming remaster. One exception, make Rivet City one singular location. The loading screens are Starfield level madness. But back to Butch's Toothpick, it's actually really solid. It does double base damage, has higher crit damage, and an additional crit multiplier. It's a really good knife. Reservist's Rifle. The drifter at Dickerson Tabernacle is just dying to hand it over. It's like a truck, semi-auto with 5 rounds in the magazine. The key unique element here is an additional 50% durability, which is really handy. This is a true bedrock weapon for every run. The mere existence of this weapon means that you never really have to use a regular sniper rifle. Electro Suppressor. This one's actually pretty odd. It's a shock baton from Mothership Zeta that does not do shock damage. It knocks down enemies when you hit a crit, but it's got really fast swing speed and low AP cost, so you proc that very frequently. It's deceptively strong, especially when dealing with big beefy enemies. The knockdown lasts 2 seconds, so you can just keep wailing on them and doing heavy damage. If you can get over the fact that it looks like a forbidden sex toy, it is a good weapon to keep in your inventory. Jingwei's Shock Sword. Now this is shock damage. One of the few weapons in Fallout 3 that uses shock. It does 2 points of extra damage for 5 seconds, totaling 10, and this stacks per hit. You get it from Operation Anchorage. You can either grab it from the Outcast Armory or shoot it out of Jingwei's hand in the last mission if you're super fancy. This is the closest you're gonna get to playing Skyrim inside of Fallout 3. Atomic Pulverizer. It's really good, but it's also incredibly ammo dependent. You can stock up in the DLC and talk to Sally every day to get some more, but if you're going through all that effort, there are way better weapons. It's only slightly better than the regular variant in terms of damage, but the AP cost is really low, so you can spam it. It's certainly not a bad weapon, I just don't think it's worth the trouble. But hey, that's just my opinion. I do think this weapon's good and worth a try. Microwave Emitter. Remember the Airzuka? That toy that was just like a bucket with a pistol grip and a trash bag on the end of it? The microwave emitter just totally reminds me of that. The too long didn't read version it's a Mesmatron that actually does damage. It uses the exact same model as well. It ignores resistance, so it can be a pretty effective weapon in the right situation. It fires slow and can be really awkward to handle, but it's a decent reward for completing the main quest in Point Lookout. The Mauler. Another glitched auto axe. Thanks, Todd. 80 steel ingots in the pit will buy you this very badass weapon. Totally shreds enemies and a straight upgrade in every way to the base auto axe. It's well worth the effort to acquire. The only downside is the carry weight. 20 pounds is pretty hefty. It's not a big deal if it's your main weapon, but it's not something you're just going to carry around casually on your adventure. Using this weapon is a deliberate choice with spectacular destructive potential. Slow burn. This thing is just mean. Nasty. No warm-up time, more damage than average. It just spits pain. The primary thing holding this weapon back from being top tier is the ammunition and condition. Just tapping the trigger costs 3 fuel, and you're only going to get 4 total reloads before you have to repair it. I'd love to rank it higher, but the maintenance is just too damn expensive. Fire Lance. I would totally understand if somebody put this at the top of their list. The Alien Blaster is a legendary and completely overpowered weapon. High base damage, 100% crit chance, and even sets targets on fire. I'm putting it here in the middle of the pack for 2 reasons. Number 1, limited ammo. Even with all the DLCs installed, you're still looking at a little over 1,000 rounds total. Sounds like a lot, but it really isn't that much. The second reason is way more important, to be honest. The Fire Lance can only be obtained from a random encounter. I've played this game hundreds of times, and I barely ever see this weapon. The encounter is called Unidentified Flying Debris. A UFO flies overhead and explodes, leaving this blaster in a handful of power cells in a crater on the ground. It's very rare and super duper easy to miss. And there are other alien blasters you can get from Mothership Zeta, so middle of the pack, final offer, best I can do for this weapon. Sydney's 10mm Ultra SMG. Don't worry, you don't have to kill Sydney for the weapon. You can just let the super mutants do the dirty work. This thing actually fucking shreds. It does 2 more damage per shot and has a generous 50-round magazine. Solid damage, but I mean, it's an SMG, so it does struggle against heavily armored enemies. You know, and that's not only an issue with this weapon. 10mm in general kind of struggles with heavy armor. Any enemy with high damage threshold just eats that round for breakfast. This weapon is awesome, until the moment where it's totally ineffective and you die. Colonel Autumn's Laser Pistol. There are 2 distinct versions of this weapon. Both versions are carried by Colonel Autumn during the quest Take It Back at the Jefferson Memorial. If you have Broken Steel installed, it's a semi-auto with stats identical to the Smuggler's End. That's the version you're seeing in the footage because I have all the DLC installed to make this video. But if you don't have the DLC installed, it's fully automatic and a quest item. The non-Broken Steel version is way better. Vampire's Edge, the most honorable way to put down Grandma Sparkle. Modern Fallout games would lead you to presume that this has some kind of lifesteal effect. Not the case. It's just a light sword that you can swing super fast and has a really high crit chance. It's not flashy, it's not sexy, it's just one of the most effective and reliable melee weapons in Fallout 3. Victory Rifle. Great option for long-range deletion. The Victory Rifle has identical stats to a normal sniper, but the durability is through the roof, and it's packing a surprise extra effect. Critical hits knock down the target. With a high enough crit stat, you can completely stun lock enemies. This weapon's outstanding, don't sleep on it. This thing goes crazy. It can trivialize every combat encounter in the game. Wazer Rifle.
Wanna buy my Wazer Rifle?
Iconic. There's a reason Bethesda brought this back in Fallout 4. I mean, it's way worse in Fallout 4, but it's the thought that counts. Shout out to Billy. Shout out to Mayor McCready. Little Lamplight is one of the most memorable locations in Fallout history. This gun has the sauce. It's a workhorse weapon. It does more damage than a base laser rifle and has a larger bag. If you're running energy weapons, this one is a must. Blackhawk. The sniper scope on this thing lets you smack enemies from a really long range. It's the definition of a pocket sniper. Lightweight, cheap ammo, easy to maintain. Armored enemies aren't an issue. There's literally nothing that should stop you from adding this to your weapon collection. Precision Gatling Laser. I'm normally not into this type of thing. This weapon has a chokehold on me like a pissed off goth girlfriend. What? Don't act like I'm the weird one. Even Deathclaws love dummy mommies. Fun fact, this is the most valuable weapon in the game. It's worth a cool 3,000 caps. You could buy like all of Girder Shade for that much money. And it's so worth it too. With the better criticals perk, it just melts enemies. Free fire, VATS, any way you want to roll, you're gonna dole out tons of destruction. Like every other heavy weapons build, it's a commitment. The weapon and ammo take up a ton of space and you have to really spec into it properly, but you will not be disappointed if you do. Look at that, that's insane, look at that. Perforator. 90 steel ingots in the pit and you get this unique infiltrator rifle. The handling and the DPS are uncommonly good by Fallout 3 standards. This weapon actually makes you feel like you're playing a proper shooter. Despite so many things being excellent about it, there are a few drawbacks, like the durability is a straight up joke. It's not a deal breaker because it can be repaired with regular assault rifles, but it's just something you're gonna have to manage out throughout the entire run. And the rate of fire and smallish magazine kind of leads to large groups of enemies being a bit of a challenge. And this is Fallout 3, so there aren't any weapon mods you can use to mitigate the 24 round mag. Still, epic weapon worth putting in all the work in the pit to acquire. Gauss rifle. This thing is so mean. It's like the hand of Zeus smiting you. If you join the franchise with 4 or 76, you might be kind of surprised to find out that there's only one Gauss rifle in Fallout 3. It doesn't even get a fancy name or unique skin or anything, it's just Gauss rifle. This wasn't even in the base game, it was added in Operation Anchorage. There aren't many enemies that can survive a direct hit, and even if they do, it also has an additional knockdown effect. It uses microfusion cells, so you don't have to worry about limited alien ammo or any of that nonsense. But then again, I do enjoy slowing down a little bit and appreciating some of the random encounters in the game. Like this moment, where the Roach King got jump scared by a Yaogwai. This game is so messy, it never fails to crack me up with some random bullshit. Ant Sting. One of my favorite quests in all of Fallout. While exploring Fallout 3, you'll eventually stumble upon a little town named Canterbury Commons. This sleepy little location is the battleground for a showdown between a superhero and a supervillain. No spoilers, I'm not going to dig into the quest itself, but just know it's phenomenal. In the end, if you choose to side with the villain, named the Ant Agonizer, you are rewarded with the Ant Sting, a knife that inflicts stacking poison damage. One of the strongest melee weapons and one of the best pieces of content in the Fallout franchise. What more can you ask for? Backwater rifle. Sometimes I start point lookout just to get this weapon. Excellent range and the highest damage of any 10mm. It should go without saying that being a 10mm is also great because the ammo is super duper abundant. Crazy criticals too if you have the stats for it. VATS is just nutty with this weapon. It's kind of DLC creep. It's just so much better than anything in the base game. It's actually a little ridiculous. Wild Bill's sidearm. The pit coming up huge again. This is one of my favorite sidearms in the game. There's no rate of fire cap, so you can just spam it. It shoots super fast. It also uses a speed loader where you can slam in all 5 shots at once. Wild Bill is the perfect name because this is some next level gunslinging shit. Destabilizer. Fully automatic alien disintegrator. Let me say that again in case you missed it. Fully automatic alien disintegrator. The kneecapper.
Well, hey there, stranger.
It's technically possible to get 2 kneecappers. If you pickpocket Ron at Girder Shade, you get 1. And then you can get another off his dead body later if you send him to the Nuka-Cola plant. But honestly, 1 is normally enough. This thing is just a beast in close quarters. Old Painless. Oh man, this list is getting so good. You collect this weapon through diplomatic negotiations with the Sovereign and Independent Republic of Dave. Fantastic quest, by the way, super quirky. Old Painless is a rifle with slightly above average power and one very special trait. It has 0 bullet spread. With a max small arm stat, the bullet is 100% accurate. The spread in Fallout 3 is totally out of control. Any weapon that sidesteps that system opens up a whole new way to play. I love this game deeply. technically, but I think it's hard to argue that Fallout 3 is a great shooter. Its mechanics are adequate at best, and at this point, very outdated. Playing now, all these years later, the accuracy of Old Painless is a welcome addition. Fantastic weapon and well worth the praise in its iconic status, but the power does start tapping out in the late game. Great quest, great weapon, top tier recommend. A321's plasma rifle. There is nothing better than turning enemies into piles of radioactive goo. I like the Replicated Man quest. It offers some connective tissue between 3 and 4. Makes the world of Fallout feel a lot larger and more connected. The only downside to this epic plasma rifle is having to visit Rivet City, which I mean you have to do during the main quest, but still it's a pain in the ass. It's an MC Escher hellscape that challenges my sanity in ways only Starfield players would understand. Jack. A ripper named Jack? I see what you did there, Todd. Jack is so much better than base, there's really no reason to ever need another one. My only true bit of advice with Jack is to use it very deliberately. The durability is total trash, and it's a very expensive weapon to maintain. Save this bad boy for enemies that really need to be diced to bits. Protectron's Gaze. Remember that superhero showdown in Canterbury Commons? This is what you get when you side with the hero. The Mechanist, a name most Fallout players will probably recognize. Protectron's Gaze is a laser pistol that fires a spread pattern like a shotgun. Each one of the beams has a separate crit chance, so you can get ridiculous amounts of damage out of this thing. If you can close the gap between you and your enemy, there aren't many creatures in Fallout 3 that can handle this kind of burst damage. Even fully armored Brotherhood of Steel Knights get boiled like a can of beans. Burnmaster, the best flamer in Fallout 3. If you have to disregard Harold's final wishes, this is by far the most humane choice. It strikes a great balance between damage output, fuel consumption, and kind of overall repair and maintenance requirements. Back in the day, this thing used to make my computer drop frames like crazy. It still kind of does because Fallout 3 is so poorly optimized, but still, hella fun. Super good time. But with that, we are in the final stretch, ladies and gentlemen. Only 10 more uniques to go. Before we jump into the top tier, I just wanted to thank you for being here. What's your favorite unique weapon in Fallout 3? I read every comment and I try to reply to everyone. This isn't engagement farming or anything. Having conversations in the comment section is my favorite part of making videos. So I really want to hear what you think. But with that, let's get back to the ranking. Only 10 more uniques left, and our final tier is truly special. Only elite weapons beyond this point. The Slasher Knife. Ooh, this thing is a total package. High damage, quick swing speed, and solid durability. But the thing that really makes it so special, how you obtain it. The Slasher Knife is found in Tranquility Lane if you decide to help Betty. One of the best quests in all of Fallout. You can't miss it because it's part of the main story. When I think of Fallout 3, I think about this weapon. Captain's Sidearm. This weapon feels like a DLC apology for making the fire starter so annoying. It fixed everything wrong or frustrating about that weapon and made alien blasters a legitimate part of Fallout 3. Not just like an occasional, totally random element of your arsenal. You can get this reliably every time. And all you have to do is finish Mothership Zeta. They just got it super right with this gun. It's very powerful. It uses alien power modules instead of alien power cells, which are scattered kind of everywhere around. You can even talk to Sally every 24 hours and re-up your ammunition. Mothership Zeta is undoubtedly trash there, but some of the weapons they added are just worth the price alone. Like our next weapon, MPLX Nova Surge. It's a plasma pistol with a unique spin. It uses double the ammo, but does 3 times the damage and even has higher crits. Monster. Should be illegal. This little thing could take down some of the biggest enemies in the game. It guzzles energy cells and requires almost constant repairs, but it's so worth it. Paulson's Revolver. You can, borrow this one from Paulson on Mothership Zeta. I love when a unique weapon does something different, uncommon, or unorthodox. This one is a pocket shotgun, like when you used to use Snake Shot in Call of Duty. It fires 9 pellets per shot and does devastating amounts of damage. It's ultra effective, super duper fun to use. I love this gun. Vengeance. Word to the wise, you need to brave the Deathclaw Sanctuary to get this weapon, so you should probably wait until you're properly geared. Devious work, putting one of the most powerful weapons behind a wall of Deathclaws. It's a fully automatic Gatling laser that obliterates anything you point at. Probably a bit of overkill. Statistically, Vengeance outputs some of the highest DPS numbers for any automatic. The ease of which you just walk through enemies is kind of unparalleled. Metal Blaster. Bro, the Pit is such a good DLC. This only costs 50 ingots. In modern Fallouts, we have the Beam Splitter mod that turns regular laser rifles into laser shotguns. This weapon is the only way to get your hands on that effect. In modern Fallouts, this would be considered a relatively common weapon, but in Fallout 3, this is next level. Each trigger pull creates 9 separate beams, and each beam has its own chance to crit. But if you pump up the odds with better criticals and base crit stats, you become a true melt machine. If you get it early and it doesn't seem that impressive, just hold on to it for a while, improve your stats, and then this thing becomes amazing. Callahan's Magnum, the most powerful small gun in the game, and the #1 reason to install Broken Steel, because it's not the gameplay. That's not why you're installing Broken Steel. The name of this weapon is a reference to Dirty Harry, who famously used a massive .44 Magnum. Lightweight, abundant ammo, hits like a Mack truck, and it even has a high-powered scope for long-range precision shooting. It rewards accuracy, but doesn't punish you too hard if you miss a few shots now and again. Sure, there are a few high-level encounters where Callahan's isn't a great choice. Pretty much anything the game throws at you, Callahan's is going to make short work. And it's just a sidearm. Lincoln's Repeater. This weapon hits me on so many different levels. I grew up in Baltimore, so I took a ton of field trips to the Smithsonian as a kid. So any weapon you find in the Museum of History is obviously going to be one of my favorites. The repeater also just happens to be a great weapon as well. It's the only long rifle in the game that fires .44, which is unique, but the real draw is that this weapon has a 2x crit multiplier and 0 bullet spread. For better or worse, it fires exactly where you aim every single time. It makes the gunplay in this game feel a lot more crispy and a lot more modern. This game is definitely a product of the time, but it is nice to just click heads every once in a while. It can be a little tough when you get swarmed by enemies because the fire rate is a little slow, but you also have 15 rounds in the mag, so if you hit your shots, you'll be just fine. Lincoln's Repeater and Old Painless open up a more active FPS playstyle, but if you're not into that sort of thing, it's also just nice to have a weapon that can pick off enemies at a distance. The Terrible Shotgun. This is by far the best way to exterminate Garys. Even though it's a large and sprawling game, Fallout 3 has a lot of deceptively tight combat spaces. Vaults, sewers, subway tunnels, which makes the Terrible Shotgun an incredibly valuable addition to your arsenal. It's an iconic weapon like the Wazer rifle. Bethesda added a reference to this shotgun in Fallout 4. It's not as good. Nothing's as good in Fallout 4. I still love that game though, don't get me wrong. The Terrible Shotgun can do shocking amounts of burst damage. When every pellet crits and you're in close range, it can one-shot most enemies. You can get it right from the start of the game, either by killing or pickpocketing Smiling Jack and Evergreen Mills. This is a weapon that you should have on literally every run. There's literally no reason to carry any other shotgun, and that might not be a positive thing. This gun is so strong and so effective that other shotties in the game are basically turned into nothing but repair material for this gun. This is one of those weapons where you get scared by an enemy, click the button, and suddenly everything's dead, and you're like, what even happened? Like, I don't even know how that murder occurred. But it's only number 2, because there is one unique weapon in Fallout 3 that stands head and shoulders above the rest. Our final weapon today, and it's one that I might not be able to pronounce correctly, but bear with me. Shenlong Assault Rifle. The magazine carries 36 rounds of pure wasteland justice, and it has best-in-class damage. Armored, unarmored, does not matter. This weapon's gonna take it out. And it has like a perfect amount of chunky recoil. It sounds amazing. Like, listen to this. Oh, come on. If that isn't music to your ears, I don't know if you're an FPS fan. You can get this early into every run, but the weapon really comes alive in the mid-game when ammo and repairs are easy to come by. Its peak gunplay in Fallout 3 dominates in close to mid-range. I miss this gun so much. I'm like, why is this not in every Fallout? It's kind of tragic that Chinese assault rifles have been kind of phased out in favor of handmaids. Oh, I love this gun. I love this weapon so much. Top tier, highest recommend, by far the best. But thanks so much, ladies and gentlemen. That's all we have for today's list. Thanks again for being here. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I did making it. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you again soon.